If I found out Emma was going into the voting booth and pulling the lever for Harris, that's the same thing as having an affair. That to me,
oh my God! Let him finish. You're Judge Jesse. It's our day.
That violates the sanctity of our marriage.
Preach on, yes.
Well, just like how Republicans were freaking out over the prospect of their wives secretly voting for Kamala Harris, some Democrats are now doing the same when it comes to Donald Trump. Salon's Amanda Marcotte has put out an interesting piece, I'll put it that way. She put it out this morning, and in it she argues that women need to withhold sex with Trump supporters, and in fact, even consider divorcing their Republican husbands. Great advice. You know, I personally love it when opinion columnists tell people what they should do with their personal lives, especially when it comes to things like marriage. But anyway, the piece is titled "A Cat Lady's Survival Guide for the Second Trump Administration." And in the piece, Marcotte points to the national exit polls that shows a majority of women in every age group voted for Harris while men voted for Trump. Now, I want to note that more women actually ended up voting for Biden compared to Kamala Harris. I think that's an important piece of information. But nonetheless, let's look at that graph. And this graph indicates that 49% of 18 to 29-year-olds voted for Trump, while 47% of that same age group voted for Harris. And we're only talking about males here, we're not talking about females, okay? 53% of men ages 30 to 44 voted for Trump, and a whopping 60% of men between the ages of 45 to 64 voted for Trump as well. And so as a result, Marcotte is fired up and she wants to do something. She wants to take action. So what kind of action is she gonna take? Well, she's gonna give out advice. It's time for a new era, one where being a giant sexist pig has consequences. If MAGA men are half as strong as Joe Rogan tells them they are, they can toughen up and accept women's rejection. And then she gave some ideas on how to tell the guardians, she refers to them as the guardians of toxic masculinity, to kiss our collective rear ends. The biggest thing she argued is to basically avoid Republican men altogether. And in fact, if you have any Republican men in your life, kick them out, get rid of them, cut all ties. She wrote that you should either divorce your Republican husband. MAGA men know that they are becoming ever more impossible to live with, which is why Vance and his allies are making noises about ending no-fault divorce. There's no time like the present to kick your Trump voting spouse to the curb. If anything, you might want to move quickly before they come after that right, like they did the right to abortion. Trump won the popular vote. I mean, you're cutting yourself off from a lot of people. But this is her strategy. Who knows? Maybe it could work. She also says refusing to date a Trump voter is also a good action you can take here in response to the results of the presidential election. Refusing to date Trump voters, that's an easy one. Don't waste a single moment of your one precious life on such men. Use your freed up time to volunteer with pro-choice or environmental groups, which adds the bonus of meeting new friends. Or if you really want to stick it to Vance, join a cat rescue group. I think you should just join a cat rescue group or any animal rescue group anyway. I think that could be a fulfilling thing to do. I'm not sure if it's a smart idea to do away with friends, family members, loved ones simply because you didn't agree with their vote, and instead do an animal rescue group or volunteer time for that. I don't think that this is a healthy mentality, not because you're necessarily gonna have like a wonderful, fulfilling relationship with a Trump supporter. You might, I don't know. But because this isn't really politics. This is really demonizing people over who they voted for rather than getting to know who they are as people. And it's cutting yourself off from a huge section of this country, more than half of voters in this election, obviously. And further divides Americans. It deprives us of an opportunity to engage in dialogue, share ideas that might change your mind, might change their mind. And it just leads to like this toxic environment that we really do need to move away from.